Well, the oil leaks are getting pretty bad underneath, so I did the right thing, of course, and went down the auto store and firing the parts cannon. Got the valve cover gaskets, both of them, front timing cover gaskets, the plenum gaskets because it's got to come off, that power steering line, a return line, and I went and ordered a pump anyway because pump. It's always been hard to steer this, and I just compared it to another vehicle similar, another Tribute, and I was like, wow, you can steer with your finger. So I don't know. It was a different year, but I don't know. So this pump's been dry and here and there with this leak, so might as well just put a new one in. Why not? So what else did I have to get? I have the oil pan gasket. You don't need it to get the cover off, and I don't think it's leaking. So we'll find out. Probably leak afterwards. But I'm just gonna start dicking around. I'll probably start. It's getting late in the day here, but I'll disconnect the battery, take this cover off, look at some other. I got to drain the power steering fluid to do this. It's got the separate reservoir, so I'll maybe siphon that out. And I didn't see the videos I watched, didn't mention the motor mount, but I might do this in two videos: the power steering pump because it's right below that, and then do the oil sealed separate video, because it seems like I'm going to have to put a jack under the engine, take this mount out, do the power steering pump, then put the bracket back in place to do the front cover, I would think, because I got to get underneath it to get the all the other crap off. Maybe I can jack it up, put a jack under the motor, and take out. Yeah, maybe I'll have enough room to do all that. We shall see. The negative battery terminal is an 8mm, and there's 3 bolts if you still have your cover. 1, 2, 3, 8mm. Use a magnet and get those out of there so you don't drop them. Eventually, I'm going to prop this. Tie it back to the roof rack, get it up out of my way. I'm playing with the hood, by the way. I guess you can't see that, but this is just going to be in the way. So for now, I might just do that. So all this crap's going to come off. So there's a very interesting drivability video on one of these cars, and the whole problem was this was on. So we routed it this way and put them all in order, so it was firing at the wrong time, and it took like 3 shops to figure that out, because this is kind of odd. Why would you run it like that? You know, most harnesses would go in order, so I can see why it happened. So make sure you don't screw this up putting it back together. Maybe label that harness, which one's which. Looks like it's something, but anyway, so that's going to come off. That's the high pressure line is going to come off. The bolts for the intake, or I just take the whole air cleaner box off. So, and power steering, I'm going to drain that. I'm going to find I got a little hand siphon. Find that, do that. The way I like to work with this stuff when you do a big job like this is just start with a section and work your way around. Either way, or just okay, I'm going to get all the electrical. Do that first on connectors. I did the throttle body, airbox, 2 electrical. Now I'm going to work this way. I'm like, okay, I know these bolts are going to come off because I know this is coming off next. So I'm looking at what has to come off. Some clamps there that'll come off. Harness, unclipped here. And then I know, okay, I got all the bolts right here. This was the throttle bracket. I just bent it out of the way. It was bolted here. I normally don't do this, but I think in my old age, I put the bolts back in. These two are different from this one, so that's kind of the reason I did that too. Oops, just kick you guys, sorry. So that's how I work, and that's how, I don't know, I think most professionals do that. That's just a good technique to, and then I'll put bolts up here. Some people will label everything. That's why this helps, putting them back if you work that way. But, yeah, that's just the good things, good techniques to have. And another thing you guys can do is take pictures or video. That's one reason this is great videoing all this, because you're not going to remember, not always, right? It's like this. I know there's a bolt on this side and a stud on this side because this was on the stud. So I just put them up top in that order. Working my way around. 2 8mm on here. Did the hoses. Did that. And then that quickly, I think I'm almost ready to do this. Bam! I actually got this in the garage, which is good. My neighbor's garage is open. And he's away for a few days, so I don't have to finish this job tonight. And I got the light on. This is my only light. It's pretty dark right now. But I think I got all the bolts. I think these bolts stay in there, so don't try and pull them out. They just stay with the manifold. And I think we should be ready to come out. Let's see. Well, maybe I'm lying. Maybe they do have to come out. I don't know. Oh, I think I just didn't have it far enough. Can't believe this is something I would never do, work in the dark. And here I am. I just want to get a jump on this. Parts come in tomorrow afternoon. So I'd like to have this jacked up and start doing the oil stuff and power steering pump and all that. Have a good dent taken out of it. There we go. I think I got everything, but it's really hard to tell. Working in the dark. Another one of these. There we go. And I think maybe a Pcv vacuum line. Something holding up back there. Oh, did I get the one to the... Yeah, there's one going to this emissions. That's a cruise control, so this is purge solenoid, it looks like. It's got some sort of emissions connector on it. Yeah, so I just squeezed it, took it off there, the easy point rather than underneath. And away she goes. And this hose here is the vent, I believe, for the transmission, kind of like a for the rear differential. They have a vent. That is one intake. I've got these new gaskets just in case. They say they're reusable, but this has got like 100 and something thousand miles on it. That's an EGR gasket. That's going to be reusable too, I think. And we'll check out our throttle body. And yeah, we'll probably clean that up. Looking a little gunky in there. A little carb clean on there. And I'll probably shove some paper towels in there overnight, because I am not going to be doing anything else, I don't think. Yeah. But I've done these are coils on top of the spark plugs. I can't remember if I took this off or not before. I did the coils, and then I did this Pcv valve. If you want to know where that frickin' thing is, it's down in the middle here. This is a radiator hose. But yeah, it's down, straight down there. I think I got it from the side with pliers. It was a bitch, but it looks like that hose is leaking anyway. So I'm probably gonna, I had tried to look it up at AutoZone. They didn't really have a good picture of anything. No, I didn't think there was a lower intake. But I see some wetness down there. I think it's my PCV valve, but it looks like there's a whole block that you can replace. But that would mean taking, is this whole injector rail and this, yeah, it looks like that all comes off. If I really want to get into it. And so there's probably some more gaskets on the bottom. I'll look that up, see if I want to do that. Now I'll bring it right in here. See that dead center of the screen? That's a PCV valve right there. It's all wet. And on the back side of it, it looks like it's a block of some sort, like a mounting block down there. Maybe I can order that gasket too. Don't want to, but if it's gonna be a, there's the hose, comes around, and get you down in there. Oh, does this help or does this make it worse? Right here, PCV hose. I thought I replaced, looks like there's a junction right there, so you can just do a section of it right there. Looks a little oily. And it goes up to your top of your plenum. Yeah, maybe I'll take it all off, clean it up. It's all hard plastic, so it shouldn't be an issue. But they sold the elbow down here where it goes under the valve. It's probably just a piece of rubber, I'm sure. Okay, it's a new day. The plan of attack for today is I brought over some electricity from my garage. This garage doesn't have electricity, so I need some lighting would be nice. These batteries only last so long. But before I go and jack this up, I'm going to get these valve covers off. Take the coils out, valve covers off, and then I can get this thing jacked up. Probably so I can get underneath, and I'll still have to do some stuff on top, but I'd rather have it up in the air, get most of it done. So valve covers and such next. Alright, I did some stuff. I brought out some trays to put stuff in. I'm going to label my connector number 1. I'll call this number 1. It looks like did I put a mark on that already? Looks like I did. I scribed it. Probably when I did the coils. And so yeah, I'm just going to do that for the bolts. Organized your... Excuse me. Well, I think I got them all, so I'm just going to use this tray for my bolts. Keep them in order, because this one on the end here is a stud. That was sort of bracket. These will be my tops, and these will be my bottoms. And once I get the cover off, I will just put these bolts right back in the cover where their location is. That way we can keep tracks of them. I think those are staying in. Maybe they stay in the cover. That one definitely came out. This is an old retainer for like a wire loom. It's all broken, so gots to get that out of there. I guess I missed that one. I'm gonna get on that one. You notice too, I put paper towels in the plenum. Don't want to get anything down in there. All this dirt that I'm disturbing is flying all over the place. So I think we got this. There's one bolt that was missing. And I'll get her up and over. Got an engine mount bracket over here in the way. steering hose. Get that stud now. I'll take that stud out. That's that second upper and lower stud. The bolts are staying in the valve cover, which is good. Man, it's wedged in there. I have to get this, there's an engine hook bracket over here. You can't see, but I'm going to have to adjust that or take it out. So up until now, everything is basically, this is a valve cover job, so if you've got to do that job, this is it. This is what you got to do. Call it adjusting, what I just did there. This sucker just does not like to come. The timing chain up in the front here. I'm just gonna bracket. Oh, I just get that bracket. It's a 10mm right there, for crying out loud. Come on, Michael. Yeah, here's stuff falling. Come on, baby. Hung up on the dipstick. There we go. Oh, yeah, there we go. Crikey. I'm pretty clean under there. I changed my oil. Regularly. Used to have synthetic. I don't even think I have synthetic in it anymore. But there's your basic valve cover gasket. Mine were actually not leaking, so I don't know if they've been changed, but I ordered them. It comes with this. These are always a culprit to leak too. If you have oil around your spark plugs. So it comes with those, and I think it came with all the rubber for these, for the studs. I think it was $60 for them. I don't think I've ever spent $60 on valve cover gaskets in my life, but whatever. Gotta address this now. I don't want to deal with it later. In the back here, I remember when I was doing the alternator, I had, like I said earlier, I took it out the top, but there's some studs here. They have all this electrical harness bracket. So I think it's 8mm or 8mm. At the end one too, maybe, and then the 10mm underneath that. And back to the alternator talk. I don't think I took the plenum off, but look at all this room now. You can, here's the alternator, you can sneak it. That's my fist, so you can sneak the alternator up and out rather than pull the drive axle and all that crap. Well, seeing how I did find an almond down here on my valve cover, I was thinking this was just heat deteriorating this. This might be mouse chewing on this. So that's a vacuum for probably the heater control. So the feed is from the intake here. So yeah, that won't be a check engine light, but that'll be no heat situation. But all these little vacuum hoses should be addressed while I'm in here. I did this pipe a while ago. I just did this vacuum line, I think, in another video. But yeah, you got a little mouse. Mouse in the house. All right, she's loose. I'm just gonna leave it there. I don't need to take it off yet because I still have to do the front cover. But hey, this is your how to do valve covers. You got it, made it this far. And torque to specs. Otherwise, it'll leak again. And put a little RTV in the corners. See if I can show you that. Where the corners are. There's probably little mating surfaces. Yeah, like right here. See that? They have the seam where the cover fits. Cover meets the. So you want to make sure you put old dabs of RTV there. Alright, we got her jacked up. Just at an angle. Made sure I hit the wall with the side of the truck too when I did it. Probably damaged the quarter panel, but that's okay. There's plastic covers. I've already taken those off. And I think probably going to loosen that. I'm doing the power steering pump. Well, I think, yeah, everyone has to take that off. They don't have to take the nut off, though, because they can get to the bolts. But because I'm doing my power steering pump, I'm going to loosen that while there's tension on the engine. And then I think we can skip to the tensioner. Take the belt off. Tensioner itself. Balancer is going to have to come off. I have a puller. You're going to need a puller, harmonic balancer puller for that. And the rest is just bolts, 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 bolts. I think once that stuff's out of the way. But yeah, if you're going to do it, power steering, you're going to, I guess I'll crack it and then I'm going to take the pump off the top anyway. I'll show you that. But if you were just doing this job, you would do the bolts holding the pump on, not the taking the pulley off. Make a wood block, cut out the round hole so it sits right on top of there and doesn't fall off. One of these days, maybe I'll make a video of that for you. Not to be a liar, it's an 18 millimeter. And I'm gonna have to get an 18 deep socket, which I don't think I have. In 1/2-inch drive. 18's a weird one. I mean, lug nuts are 19. Whatever. Under the Earl pan. Took the bolts out. And I gotta drain this anyway, this power steering. You get the gist of it. I don't think I have to take the bottom, the actual mount out. Let's see. Now I got all my good tools in that garage there. Instead, I brought out this one. This is the worst mechanics tool set. It has no 13 millimeter, no 18 millimeter. Got 8, 9, it doesn't have a 9, but a 10. Also in the sockets too. There's a 13 shallow, not a 13 deep. It's just the stupidest set for a mechanic. Alright, boys and girls, yes, the mount does have to come out. There's some bracketry for lines you need to unbolt. 2 10s down here, one there, just can get to this back bolt there. The other 2 came right out, no issue. The reason is this is the access hole for the power steering pump. This whole area. Put that right there. Yeah, I was thinking this is all part of the block or something. I don't see any bolts for that, but maybe it's bolts behind the pump or something, but the pump's going to come out this way. So maybe, does the pulley have to come off? Probably make it easier. Yeah, once it's over there, it'll probably come out. It's a special J tool, J5793. Power steering fluid extractor. Why I get so verklempt? Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a subject. This is not power steering fluid, or is it ATF? Discuss. Alright, what character was that? Anybody? That was Coffee Talk. Saturday Night Live, vintage 90s. Mike Myers. Linda Richmond. She used to get verklempt. Anyone with me? I can hear you guys laughing. I can hear you laughing. Yeah, that's gross. That's why I'm getting a pump, because I'm sure there's metal in there. I think at some point I added power steering fluid and then did the right thing, looked in the book, and it's supposed to have mercury in there, ATF. Oops. So, oh thee well, now it's getting mercury. I went and did a little extra step. I took my reservoirs out of here because I'm going to clean this one out. I can't even see in this thing. It's so dirty. So what's the point of me doing a new pump and all that if I can't? Just going to put dirty fluid in there. Maybe I can break this off too. could just go get some. It's a good application for WD-40 or silicone spray. Okay. Hey, tell me how this sounds too, by the way. I'm not using my microphone. I'm boycotting it. I just said, F it. I thought the phone's just as good when it's, you know, a little noise out here. So all that crap's out. Drain the pump. This is your serpentine belt tensioner. You have a belt squeak. This is what you want to look at your belt. Look for glazing. Belts get glazed. It looks like rocks in there. I think it is. Sometimes they get sand in there, and it just grinds it. But this is the. I'm going to release that tension. You just need a 3/8 bit, 3/8 French. Goes right on there. Looks like they make it. You can put a bigger wrench on there too, but I think we're going to go into the. Oh, that's tighter. I'm sorry. This way. See that? Oh, the tension comes off. And just pay attention to your routing if you're not good at that stuff. See, your belt comes around. Easiest way is to go one direction. Go clockwise. Okay, it comes up and over the crank to the tensioner, over the alternator, up to the power steering. Sorry, up to the power steering, and then down and around. This one's pretty easy, but there's some complicated ones. Interesting too, because you can't see what I'm doing. The only way to get the belt off is to slip it behind the tensioner. That's kind of weird. I don't think I've ever dealt with that. You just, you don't have to slip it behind it. That's kind of odd. Now's a good time to check your tensioner. Check your pulley. Nice and smooth. Sometimes there's an idler pulley that just spins as well, but nothing. This should be hard. That takes a lot of force. It's got some good spring back, so she's in good shape. Spin your compressor, nice and smooth, no noises. And we're going to do the pump anyway, which, what the heck's it rubbing? Oh, I'm hitting the ground strap. But it doesn't feels like it's pumping. Oh, and the alternator, check that out too. Yeah, we know that's good though. I've done that. And she's dripping on me. Looks like that tensioner bolt's a 10mm. Are you kidding me? Dainty little tensioner's going to come off. And I'll probably work on the crank. I do get a crank seal in the kit. I wonder if it's leaking. I guess I could do it. I wasn't planning on it, but I got it. Why not? Right? It'll be a hack. Now I was having trouble getting the wrench socket and ratchet on the tensioner. They don't give it any room. But if you jack the engine up, like I did here, now you got plenty of room to get on there. Not too much. Don't want to crack the aluminum engine pan, but you can jack it up. All right, she's looking like 5 bolts. Those two? No, this one here. Maybe these two here. Maybe those 13s in here. There's not these, not that one there. That one down there, studs. They're all studs. I don't know what these. There's some on the inside. Right. The lower one, I'm in the hole here. I don't think that one is part of it. That's going to be on the physical pump. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Where's that hole? We'll see. Just start taking 5 out. How about that? All right. So it was those 10s and those two 13s up here. And she comes out it. Now I can get my impact gun on this. And it's just splined on there, which is good. I guess could have done it when it was down in there. Now, let's see. Was this leaking? Oh. There's some oil. in the valley. Thank God there's oil in the valley. You don't go to the valley of California. I don't go to the valley. Beverly Hills. Sorry. Let's see. You could focus, Mike. Mr. Phone. There you go. I'll get you some light down there. That's all underneath the power steering pump. Let's see if that, I mean, that could be the timing cover leaking. Let's put this on the spotlight. Right there. Timing cover could be leaking in. I see some up in the valley there. That's where this mount goes. And the PCV system is behind it. And I think that might be leaking too. So, anywho, this pump itself looks like it's okay. Usually the front seals leak here. So, we're just gonna put in a nice reman piece of shit one from AutoZone anyway. I guess it could have been leaking. This is the top. Whatever. You know, that's what I say. And that bolt's wet right there. Yeah, well, anyway, the front cover is pretty much revealed. The lower... Let's get my puller out and we'll do that lower crank harmonic balancer bolt. Okay, puller is on there, set up. Nice and straight. Get your finger out of there, Mike. That's the biggest thing you want, nice and straight. These are in equidistant, so you're not pulling it at an angle. You can do it by hand. Maybe I'll do it by hand to start. I usually just impact, but and make sure you have a lot of oil on these threads because heat, a lot of heat gets built up. There we go. Make sure that's nice and good. No groove. They do have a little RTV, it looks like they put in that keyway just to keep oil from coming out. Good idea. And I'm going to call the parts store now because I'm at the point where I want to get some parts before I go any further. Ooh, she's all cracked. This is right above the pump, right on the engine, so it gets nice and hot. That starts leaking, then I should probably get this hose too. I wonder if the Ford dealer has it in stock. Power steering 0202. That might have been the date. 2002. This is an 03 model. Okay, dokey, back from the store. My parts came in. Gonna disconnect this connector. Leave the crank sensor right in there probably. And then just do my 2 13s, bang bang, 2 10s, 10 cents, and keep an eye on where the studs go. And let's see, those, and let's go up top. Same thing up top. We got, looks like all studs. Maybe on this side it's bolt, and the back side. Yeah, all the studs are in the middle here. Alright, let's get going. I really could use a 13 millimeter right now. I have 2 15s. Does that help? Alright, that very top corner bolt, for some reason, is a 10 millimeter. And almost all of them were 13, so. Note to self. And I missed it too, so now everything is lower, upper, lower, right and left. I think we're finally ready to get this thing out of here. Give it a couple of love taps with a dead blow. That upper alternator has a bolt in the bracket going into this. So I'm gonna bolt the alternator bracket. Oh Jesus. Alright, nothing on the alternator. Now that I have a light there, I can see. But this one definitely went in there. That's the front cover. And this bolt, I have the engine jacked up all the way, and it still doesn't come out, but out of the way. I don't know what's holding this thing. I don't want to pry it because too much because first video I saw was one of these covers cracked in half. So the guys obviously were doing the same thing, prying. Top was moving. Go around with a mirror. I don't see anything I missed though. Okay, after some further review, let's get you on a spotlight. Right above that alternator, this bracket, or the alternator bracket, is going into the cover. This bolt right there. Fuck, sorry. Right there, that shadow going into the front cover. So I'm gonna get that alternator out of there and bolt the rest of this bracket. Jesus Christ. Good designs. But this thing should be moving a lot more free than, I don't know. It's a tough one. Oof. You heard that dog barking in this video? There's a supposed dog rescue. Security with finger quotation marks there. And that dog he's probably in a cage all day there. Barking and barking and barking non-stop. Unbelievable. Rescue. Fucking thing to be better on the street. Anyway, there's nowhere to pry on this thing, so I did the next best thing, jammed a pry bar down there. Probably put it on the plastic guides and broke them, but there's the cover. Let's see, did I break anything? I heard noises. And there's plenty of videos I've seen on doing the timing chain on this, so do they break and leak? There's all my oil down there. Make sure I get a lot of crap in there so I can maybe jam up the oil pump. That'd be nice. Let's see if we can figure out where this thing ripped. I'm guessing up here. What I don't like is seeing, get you in there, see the valley, how wet the valley is. Oh, fuck. If this is coming from somewhere else in that valley, and just, no, that would suck. But this is the most common issue, apparently. I don't know, I didn't read anything about a valley leak of any kind. Oh, right here, here's the cover. Cleaning off the gasket material, Scotch-Brite, and razor blade. Interesting staining there. A lot of heat, perhaps. And cleaned up the outside the best I could. I've got the new cranky seal. Appears to be the same. Gave me a national. All this stuff doesn't. The rubber bushing, the rubber gaskets I took out, they weren't that bad. They weren't crusty or anything. They're flexible. So I just hope this is a leak. Cripes. I'm gonna drive this out from the inside. Just bink bink. And then to put it in, I needed something the exact same size. And I got a vacuum attachment. It's not flat on top, so I don't know. Once I get it started, maybe I won't need it. But just got to get that seal started. All right, got the seal in. It's flush on the back side here, or the front side. Put some bearing grease just to keep it spring in there and keep it in place, and some good lubricant putting it together. These are the new gaskets. I guess they'll be a lot thicker than the other ones. Maybe that'll just be my... They do stick up quite a bit when they're in there. Yeah, maybe the other ones didn't. But I'll probably do all that. Little dabs of RTV where they get held. You know, maybe just a little bit just to stick it in there. And definitely when I go to put it on the pan here, I'm not doing the pan, so I'm going to do a whole bead while it's wet. Mush it. So, just hit all your seams. All your seams are going to get the RTV. Let me back that up. Take two. All your seams have to get the RTV. Alright. Maybe I'll do this today or tomorrow. And they're still gushy, but look at they're way thinner. Like this whole top is missing. Like all that gushy. That's gonna squash down. It's like it's not even existent on these. So, hope that makes this work. All right, I was looking for torque specs, torque sequence on the Google Master. There's a picture for you, in case anyone on. This is just a sequence. It does not give you the torque specs. That's from an All Data website. Well, somebody cut and paste All Data. Why don't you put the torque specs? Just, you know, put them in the writing. But they tell you where to put all the RTV. I think I may have missed a spot where the head gaskets. And I think I put a dab in there. I can't remember, so. Too late for love. And so yeah, I need to get a torque spec for this. I'm not just willy-nillying this. And so that's a sequence. Yeah, when do you do the bottom two? I didn't get that picture. I'll have to look up. I missed the bottom 2 bolts. Let's see, where is it? Apply this and that. Engine front cover. Let me show you the bottom 2 bolts. The 2 that go into the oil pan. Oh, that's good. You don't tighten those, apparently. They're just not part of the sequence. You just tighten them, I guess, to whatever the oil pan specs are. I took that valve cover out of there. Hopefully a mouse will nest in here overnight. And I called Mazda on this hose. It's I think it's a 3/4 inch. It's discontinued. I could try Ford, but it's probably the same story. It does have some bends, but I'm just going to get some 3/4 and bend it up. Hopefully that'll work. So that's about to go. And yeah, so I'm going to wrap it up for tonight because I can. That's the beauty, having a garage that your car fits into. Oh my god. Oh, it's so nice. It's the little things, folks. Alright, let's clean some parts. Make sure I got this 2 studs, stud, bolt. I don't know where these are. Stud, stud. Oh, let's flip that around. That'll make more sense. Stud, 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 stud. Studs in the middle. Maybe bolts. Okay, everybody, back out here today. I'm gonna get this torqued. I found, somebody said 15 for the studs, 15 foot-pounds, and 20 for the bolts. Somebody else did 18 all around, and All Data didn't. There was a printout. It had the torque sequence, but it didn't have the torque specs. I don't know, but. You know, get that done. Then I want to get the valve covers. They're drying in the sun. They're all cleaned up. Those on, and then I think I'll take this apart, bring the core back to AutoZone, get a piece of 3/4 hose, and yabba dabba do. Front cover all torqued. Just put my balancer back on. Hit it with the dead blow hammer. It's easier to get it as far as you can. Then I threaded the bolt in, grabbing 5 or 6 threads. Now I'm going to hit it with the impact. There is a torque spec. It was tighten it to, I think, 85, and then back off 360 degrees, and then a whole thing. So we might do that. Torque wrench. The engine's obviously not enough compression to hold it back, so started turning. That's up to you. You can figure out a way to hold it. They make flywheel tools, but I just remembered I gotta tighten these 2 bolts for the oil pan. Still have to get the alternator bolts in, and then we'll deal with valve covers. You know, it's very hard to get a wrench in there, so you want them as clean as possible. This is a good time for WD-40, so you can turn those by hand get them in all the way, and then get your wrench up there. Okay, while I'm putting this alternator in, I'm looking at that stud right there, because that is my power steering return line, which I have to replace too. So I might be better off loosening that right now, taking that off. The little clip that holds the crank sensor on is broken, so it just pops back. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I'm so lucky. I think I'm gonna RTV and zip tie. That's all I can do right now, right? Or should I go with weather stripping adhesive instead? Just on the connector, just a little dab. You don't want it in the connector. And I'll just zip tight it. Maybe that'll tighten it until it cures. Just wedge my pliers in there while it dries. This will definitely leave you stranded on the side of the road. Fuck. There's so much spring tension on the, I'm gonna have to, there's a little rubber inside that keeps the waterproof. It's pushing it back. I have that 2-part epoxy. Fuck, well, I'm just gonna leave that wedged in there while I do other shit. Alright, that's what a $60 valve cover kit gets you. Which is good. It gets you all the rubbers for the bolts too, which is nice. So I'll get this all cleaned up. Need some dabs of RTV where it meets the timing cover, of course. Boom, boom. I think they had some at that end too. Yeah, well, maybe by that, what's the water pump drive is, yeah. Anywhere it can leak. There was a little bit factory even just holding these down, so which way do these go? They go, which end's up? Have to figure that out. I think it's like that. That sits right down in there. Let's see, yeah, because that's the way that's beveled, that wouldn't fit. Yeah, it would fit, just doesn't look right. Yeah, because there's a nice dish. See that? Nice dish in there for that to mate up with. Okay. See? We learned something. Well, mine are really good still. I'm not going to do these. They want you to take not only the rubber off, they want you to take the metal. You know, and just slip the rubber over this. That ain't going to happen. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 16 times. No. These are good enough. I could see somebody might have to do this, but these look good to me. So everything was inch pounds. It's supposed to be, I went 90 inch pounds, which is basically 7 foot pounds, 7.5. And what's it called for? It calls for 71 to 106. So I went right in the middle. My torque wrench goes down to 5, I think. But yeah, tightened them first by hand and felt tight to me, and the torque wrench gave a little tink, so not too bad. Alright, I'm gonna fix these vacuum lines while I'm back here, and then we'll go to the front cover, I guess. Alright, got the did some of the Pcv hose too. These little connectors were all, they're hard. I don't know, they're all oily. I just got heater hose. I don't know if that's adaptable to oil though. And I've got a new Pcv valve for this thing, which is buried. There's the heater hose there. And it is down there. Can you see that? Where is that? Oh, there it is. Yeah. And it kind of screws in. You gotta like it has like a half turn and it comes out. I've replaced it before, so I'm in here, might as well do it. Might as well do it. This heater hose is real short. Probably should do that at some point. Anything that's high mileage. So yeah, it's a little oily down there, so I might as well do this. Lubricate liberally. Now don't go sticking her in there dry now, right? Okay, that was fun. Let's stick these coils back in. Try and get the back stuff. And work my way forward to the easy one. Yes. See, I got RTV just holding those in. That's it. Just a little dab to hold them in place. And how much you say is enough for, well, you're just worried about that seam, so that's it. That's enough. I don't want it to squeeze out into the engine. So, I mean, it's going to squeeze it away. So I'm putting this together wet. And I got to put the camera down so I can get to this other one. Aight. Cracks loose and it just gets tight. So I'm taking it off here. I changed this line. Maybe, I'm trying to remember where, I don't think I went right to the pump. I probably went to right here. Why that isn't coming off, I have no fucking idea. I'll do it in the vise, I guess. Well, I don't know what is wrong with this thing, but I'm taking the whole effing thing off. Because it just cracks loose and gets tight. Some sort of a little valve there. Hopefully this is all clean. Look at that little Teflon in there when I took it apart. Okay, let's get that on the new setup. Okay, it's going back together. Put a little white thread lock on there. Thread, whatever that shit is. Pipe sealant. I use liquid. The tape is for fucking the 1940s. And I think I'm just going to slide this bitch back in there. I left everything loose because I don't remember exactly where it's got to be, you know. Hopefully I can tighten it when it's in there. It's in. I'm going to put this motor mount back in so I can get the jack out of here. And I need to go to AutoZone, get some 3/4 hose. I'm going to do that water pump belt, which I never did. And bam, from there. Okay, everybody, I'm back. I am working on this power steering return line. I just broke the seal up here, blew air through it, and get out all the old fluid because there's a cooler that goes up by here, and then I put the air hose on the other and blew it out down that end. So the only fluid left in this system is whatever's in the rack, and I should be able to just turn the wheel back and forth and push some of that out. See if I can do that before I put this line in. There she is there. Make sure you know where these go when you swap them over. I mean, there's marks there, but what position? Because they don't really rotate. They're supposed to be tight. But I'm going to leave mine loose a little bit until I get them in there. And this is the new end. Looks a lot better than the original. Was quite worn, so these are the type that the whole line spins in there. So I think it maybe was spinning a little bit. I don't know. Who knows? All right, lubed. Fresh ATF on. Where is it? There it is. Fresh ATF. Put the cover back on, taped it, so that I can snake it down in there without losing it. The way I did get this out was out the top here, so that was the easiest. We're gonna do the same. Snake her down the back there and go from there. Well, that was fun. Oh, look out! Look, don't fall, Mike. Jeez. I got some new hose for that reservoir. See if I can make a nice loop. Stuff's not that flexible before it bends, but well, I just have to go something. I don't know. Otherwise, we put the old hose back on. Picked up a nice 13mm deep socket. Replaced my missing one. And what else did I get? What else? Oh, the water pump belt. That should be easy. So I guess I'm going to go put these reservoirs back, work on this area, and then I guess we'll do the intake plenum and go from there. Well, the bends are just too much for this sucker, so I think I'm just going to put some weather stripping adhesive over that. Pretend I didn't see it, but to try and do this without kinking, could do like a giant loop, even though a giant loop would kink. But alright, I guess this hose, well, Mazda said it was discontinued, but it's just there's no pressure. It's just the reservoir filling the pump. So As long as that doesn't leak immediately, I'll be content with that. And by the way, that repair I did on the crank sensor, oh geez, sorry, that thing is solid. It ain't moving. I don't like how close that is to the belt. I have to tuck that away. It's supposed to be on this harness here. Used to be something. I'll have to do something with that. Used to be something plastic that broke. I wonder why. Goddamn plastics. Now I did this out of sequence. There's no room to get a wrench in there. So I'm going to undo that 18. Either drop or lower the engine so I can get on that. Remember I said this one was pretty easy? Well, when you're brain dead. Like right now. Easiest way to do this is take the whole belt, one big circle. Go up your alternator down, around your AC, around the crank. And then you're going to have to tuck it behind the tensioner. I think I told you guys that when I was taking it apart. You had to like tuck it behind there so you can get this belt up there. And then you can't really have it on the crank yet, and I lied. And then, sorry, I did this in here. Bring it over. Now I got to put my wrench on the tensioner. Well, it's confusing. There's still some carb clean. Clean out your throttle body. That's what this mess is. So I shouldn't be putting that in the pavement. I should be more respectful. Oops. It'll evaporate. Alright, got some new gaskets for this guy. And I think we're going to be ready to put these back on. I think I did. These original? I don't know. Can't remember if I did these when I did I've done a Pcv valve before in this thing. These just pop in. These are another really low torque spec too, I'm sure, on these plenum bolts. This is all government plastic. Alright, here's another one for you. Oh, don't go put any of that on my sled, Clark. See, remember that metal plate I had in my head? Well, I had to go down to the VA and have a plastic one put in. Because every time Catherine revved up the microwave, I'd piss my pants and forget who I was for half an hour or so. And I don't want anything going down between my head and the snow with a piece of government plastic, you know? Christmas vacation. Uncle Eddie. Sorry, cousin Eddie, of course, not uncle. Alright, plenum is on. If you don't have a torque spec or sequence for these, I would 99.8% of torques usually torque something from the inside out. Okay, maybe 94%. So let's look at the specs on this. It is starting in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exactly, see? 89 inch-pounds, it says. Yeah, 89 pound inch-pounds, whatever sequence. 10 Newton meters. Or I could Google that to foot-pounds. It's probably like, yeah, I think it's like that with the wrist. Let's talk muscle memory for a moment. Now I just did this by hand, what I thought was 7 foot-pounds. And all of these are right about there. I say that's muscle memory because I do this for a living. It's been a while since I have, but you start to know, what things feel like just by feeling the torque specs. That's why a lot of guys can put on a wheel without an impact wrench and not test it with a torque wrench, because you know your gun, you know your tool, you know the sound, you know the feel. I'm not saying you shouldn't check your torque, but it's amazing what your brain tell your muscles and your body and stick it all together. A little fun fact for you. Alright, now we're at the back. We're just working our way. Hoses, vacuum. We've got these little bolts here to do. This little bracket was there too. Bolts right there. This EGR pipe in there. These two bolts are right there. And then bracket for cables, and then work with that intake manifold section, which you can't see over there. Try that again. Almost got my water pump belt. It's very dainty. You can just do it by hand, really. Huh. It's kind of nice. Yeah, look at that. Let's see. And she's just getting. Where are you? She's getting cracked-itted. Cracked-itted. Make sure she's the same. It was a Motorcraft. It was the original. Good enough to me. Alright. I just went and pulled my fuel pump relay. So I'm going to crank this over. I don't want it to start because that power steering pump is dry. I just want to get it spinning. I did fill the reservoir, of course. But until that pump spins, it's not going to suck anything in. So let's just give that a quick crank-a-roni. She wanted to start. Fuel in there still. It's the main fuel pump. I don't know. Alright, let's check this fluids. Oh, and also, if you've done this right, you should have extra bolts and nuts. Now, I just have 4 extra nuts. I know what they're for. It's for all those little plastic retainers that broke. So there's nothing. Actually, 2 of them are for. 3 of them are for this cover. So I have 1 extra, I guess. Or actually, no, because that is a spacer for the cover. So I have no extra bolts. Look at that. I went and cut the wheel back and forth too. And this keeps draining, so it's feeding the line. I think I'm ready to start it now. Will it run? Boy, she's sucking it down. Let me feed this reservoir and I'll restart it. She's running. Pump is bleeding out. And I think I'm going to get her back on the ground. Check the leaks. I don't see anything yet. Should be good. Alright, everybody. I think that wraps it up. I think I got all the leaks. The pan is nice now. I haven't driven it much. I did maybe 10 miles. What I gotta do right now though is the idle it doesn't know where to idle. It's idling high, and I never relearned the IAC idle air control. As far as I know, I can just disconnect the battery. You can disconnect them both, touch them together. That'll nullify any natural forces within the realm. And then start up idle for 2 to 3 minutes in park, and then do the same thing in drive, 2 or 3 minutes at idle. And allegedly, that will relearn the idle. So we'll try that out. All right, till the next one. Do you see the problem, people? This does not go here. This is a vacuum line. This is for the Pcv Valve. So it goes from valve cover to valve cover, it should be. And I have it going valve cover to intake. because I didn't look closely back here for my PCV line. There she is. PCV line goes up to the intake. By checking my old video, I saw this. And this, I was wondering why this was, sounded like I had a vacuum leak back here. And my idle was the first tell. So this is supposed to go down to this valve cover, which I couldn't see. All right, so now I'm going to relearn that idle again. Disconnect the battery, do that same procedure.